What is up, guys? It's Deadwave here, and today I'm gonna be doing something I don't think I've ever done in this channel before. But I'm gonna be doing a game review. That's a lie. I've done an Uncharted game review, but I was so all over the place that I privated the video. Anyways, let's get to it. So, I wanted to start off by talking about the tone of this game. From the very beginning, this game sets its tone. It shows you that it's kind of dark and it's not necessarily trying to scare you, but it does because the atmosphere is so dark. I really like this tone. I feel like it's immersive. There's lots of noises that go on throughout the game, lots of sounds that you hear that kind of make you wonder where they're coming from, and I feel like it's a really good thing to add onto a game. And it really keeps it just immersive. It makes you feel like you're actually in the situation. Another thing I really liked about this game is the plasmids. It decided to do a lot with it as well. You can get the upgraded plasmids, and then a lot of them that just do a lot of different things to help you throughout the game, and I really liked that. I liked that you could upgrade them. I liked that you could find upgraded versions of them around the world, and it was just a really not a different thing, but it added another element to the game that I feel like if it was missing, this game would not be what it is. I also like the whole looting system behind the game. It really gave me a reason to explore. You also, get to do things with the items that you find. Not only can you find currency and purchase upgrades or ammo or plasmids, you can also find craftable items you can make certain things with, and it gave me an incentive to explore the game. Now, big daddies are a big part of this game, and early on this game does so well at hyping it up that I just find it so interesting. It shows this scene right here where the big daddy just pretty much comes in and saves the girl and just beats the dude. It's amazing that they set it up that way to hype him up, and you're gonna fight him, and it's just showing him what he's about.
That's the big daddy.
Now, I don't know about you, but that was fucking brutal. That made me terrified of this dude. Was that gonna happen to me? Was I gonna get drilled in my stomach and then thrown against the wall or a freaking window until it broke? That was pretty cool to me. They did really well at doing that, hyping him up, and they showed you through the glass, you know what I mean? I love the way they set that up. It was pretty good. One thing I did kind of have a problem with was the combat. I found it a little clunky, and it worked. It did pretty well. It was smooth for the most part, but I found it a little clunky and slow. I want to say that was because of how old the game was or something, but I don't know. I just didn't find it as really smooth as it could be. And I'm playing this on the PS4, by the way. So I know it was the game that was like that, and it wasn't too much of a problem to the point where I couldn't just get used to it, but it's something I decided to note because I know early on when I was getting used to this game again, I've noticed it really easily. One thing I really could not stand was the damn security bots. This is a really personal thing for me because I'm pretty sure some people like the element added to the game, but I just couldn't stand it. I hated it. I couldn't stand that I couldn't go around the corner without hearing a camera, and then just freaking all of a sudden I'm getting shot at by freaking turret bots. One thing I really like about this game was how the story was set up so well and made so well. It was great. I love how almost every area had a purpose, had a storyline to it. If you really look deep into it, there's these diaries all over the place that you could really listen to, and you can get little bits and pieces of the story and you put it all together. It was great. It reminded me a lot of Dark Souls because I really love the Dark Souls story because of how in-depth it is and how everything had a purpose, how almost every area had a purpose in the lore. Every boss, which is a character in the game, had a story behind it and how it correlated to the end of the game, and it was just so perfect to me how games can do that, especially games like this, that you have areas that also incorporate themselves into the game. They're not just random areas that just have random enemies all over the place. Going back to the story a little bit, I have to explain how most, if not all, of the characters in the game have a way of setting up like what happened in Rapture. Every character seemed to have gone mad with, I guess, the limits that Rapture didn't seem to have. For example, there was an artist, it was a surgeon who ended up going crazy, and he ended up just worrying about making his patients look good, and he did it in these brutal ways that just were inhumane, that you couldn't really have gotten away with above ground. I love the whole time that Atlas is just talking to you, he uses that phrase, "would you kindly," and how they eventually explain why he used that phrase. And it was basically because it was a phrase that was controlling you. So every time he would say it, he would, it would basically make you for sure do whatever it is that he asked you. It controlled you. And I really liked how they explained that, and how Atlas ended up being a freaking plot. I love how Atlas ended up just being Frank Fontaine the whole time. So you end up not only hating Andrew Ryan, but now you even have a bigger villain that was with you the whole game, and it just surprises you towards the end of it after you kill Andrew Ryan. I can't stress enough that the tone of this game is something that I personally just really enjoyed. I feel like it kind of gives me a bias because the creepiness of it really is something that attracts me to it, but it really completed this game overall to me. Now, the game takes place after Rapture kind of already went to shit. There's lots of these ghost memories that kind of float around. And I believe they're there to show you what Rapture once was. And you're about to see on screen that they're pretty much, I guess, trying to explain that Rapture was once a place of joy and paradise almost, where people just went to enjoy themselves and their couples and like just see things they've never seen before. Going back to the sounds that this game made, there's so many times where I was walking around and you can just hear someone singing some random song, or hear them just making this random noises, or like even whistling. It's just these noises that they make. It makes me wonder what's going on or what's happening, and it makes me real immersed into the game. Now you can see in that clip, I look mad confused. I'm literally walking around trying to find this dude, and I don't think I ever really did. But it's just little things like that I was just like, what the hell is going on here? And then like I always was looking for it, but it's one of those things that keeps you immersed, and I really enjoy that because I just don't really find that in games these days. I really like this event machine. I feel like it was pretty cool. Again, it gave me an incentive to go around looting and not just doing it for no reason. It really came in handy with times I just didn't have any ammo. There's a few times where I wish the game would have taken advantage of situations that I was in. Like there was this moment where there was these splicers that were banging against this wall or window or whatever, and I was standing there and I was watching them to see if for whatever reason that if they would break through. As you can see, I'm watching them. I was like, hey, if they break through, that'd be kind of cool, because it would, I don't know, I wasn't expecting them to just hit it forever, and I ended up realizing they just weren't ever going to get through, so I just left. But if they would have broken through in that moment, I would have felt like, whoa, that was pretty freaking cool. Like, what the heck? Like, I would have, that's another little detail that if was added, I would have really enjoyed, but it's nothing to make me completely hate the game. I love this game rewards players for exploring. It gives you an incentive to look for things. You find plasmids, upgrades, and just random materials that you can use to craft things, and I like that a lot. I love how I was just walking around in this room, and I was looking for some freaking items to loot, and I went into this specific room, and I turned this corner, and I saw this, whatever this thing is here, besides the camera. I remember just turning around, and I see this like button on the wall, and I push it, the body freaking goes in. I was like, what the heck? Like, what kind of crap? Like, I was feeling kind of bad. I just kind of just put a dead body in an incinerator or a furnace, and I kept pushing it in as you could see, and I just know I went back around and I got a tonic. I remember just loving that little detail of me just messing around with a furnace, and all of a sudden I get an upgrade for it. I thought that was pretty cool. The last thing I want to talk about is this disappointing boss fight. Now, I know people might like this, but when it comes to my experience in video games, I really didn't like this boss fight. I found it repetitive. I found it really video gamey compared to the rest of the game, and if that doesn't make sense, I'm sorry. But the fact that there was steps and like repetition to it and different phases, I mean, different phase part's alright, but I don't know if you noticed, but he's firing a ball and then charges at me, and then he fires a ball and then he charges at me. And when you only have two attacks like that with a Dark Souls player, I'm not bragging or anything, but I'm just making comparison. It was real easy for me to just pick up on what this dude was about. And the next two phases, they brought like the bots and then they brought splicers, and that's cool. But again, I just found the combat itself kind of repetitive, and I was a tiny bit disappointed by it. And I don't know, I feel like they could have done more. I felt like they could have at least put more RNG into the fight. But then again, the game's kind of old. I don't know, but that was probably my biggest complaint about the game, was that I went through the whole game enjoying it, and then the part that's hyped up the most, the boss fight, the last fight before the end credits, is freaking as bad as this was. I also like that there was two endings. Now, I was pretty much harvesting the little sisters the whole game, so I ended up getting the bad ending. Now, I don't really care, but I still like that there was alternate endings. I believe there's 3, but I just know that I liked that. So this game is phenomenal. You know what I mean? It's up there with my top favorite games. I have to give it to Dark Souls still. Dark Souls 3 is forever, for now at least, going to be my favorite game of all time. But this one's up there. And from 1 to 10, I have to give it a 9. There's those few little things I had problems with in the boss fight that really, really ruined that 10 out of 10 score. And, well, not that it would have gotten a 10 out of 10, because for me, Dark Souls is like a 9.7, because there's a couple... Anyways, I'm not going to go into that, but this game is a 9. I give it a solid 9, and I really liked it. This was my second playthrough of it. I had to go back and play it to make sure, my knowledge on it was refreshed, and also I played it when I was a much younger boy, so my experience in gaming has changed now, so I was a lot better at it, and I was a lot more knowledgeable on things like RNG or combat, which, even though those two things weren't too prevalent in this game. So if you guys enjoyed this video, please let me know by commenting. I'm going to leave my links to my socials in the description, my Instagram, basically it. Also my Twitch, because I stream on there quite often. I'm having a baby soon, and there's probably going to be a link to another channel I'll be uploading with my girlfriend, and when the baby is born, him as well. And again, if you guys enjoyed, please show me some support. And it's Deadwave here, and I'm out.